inspired. I'm inspired.
Hey there guys, how's it going? My name is Sumit Chatterjee from the Flow Zone Academy, and I'm a flow state coach, which means that I help you feel better and perform better. Today I'm talking about one of the things that really blocks flow. It's an entangler, okay? It entangles your flow state. It's a very common one for a lot of people. It creates fatigue in the body, okay? It creates a repression in the body, and it gets you feeling stuck and sputtering your words and feeling hesitant. So I want you to really zoom in on this thing, because it is very powerful ultimately when you can actually tune into this power and be able to optimize it or use it in your life, okay? So this is one of judgment, okay? So all entanglements are interconnected in the energy system, okay? And sometimes they're just uncoordinated, or they don't have enough room to grow because we've limited ourselves in our capacity or in our ideas about where we can take this. It's in our perception, right? So if we feel like we can't do something, we're creating the limit around that and telling ourselves like this is not actually possible, okay? So to make the impossible possible, first of all, we have to believe that it's possible, right? At least that creates the framework around it. A frame is the way that you see reality. The framework is a process. So understand that this is a process of understanding, okay? It's not a quick fix solution. It's not a band-aid solution, okay? So this judgmentalism comes from the intellect, okay? The intellect is almost like a superpower, and we are in our intellect most of the time. But when you're in the present moment, the intellect shuts down, okay? So when you're in the flow state, the intellect also shuts down. However, what the intellect does is it observes, it analyzes, it basically looks at the environment and tries to solve problems. We use it in our day-to-day, right? It's our coping mechanisms, or some people refer to it as the ego, but the ego is a collection of these past coping mechanisms and a composite of our past, essentially, right? And so this judgmentalism from the intellect came to us from society, first and foremost, and our conditioning, our negative conditioning. So from parents, from teachers. You might have a teacher that told you to shut up. You internalize that feeling. Now you can't speak up in public. Okay, you might have been told don't cry, you're a boy, and so you've internalized that, you've repressed that feeling and not allowed yourself to cry. And whenever you feel sad, you don't allow yourself to cry ever. You just hold it in until it comes out in an unhealthy way, as depression, as through something else, right? An unhealthy coping pattern, right? Sit down or something like that. If your parents tell you sit down, right? You're not allowed to express your energy freely, right? So if you get up and you start dancing on a table, an adult brings you down. This is not socially acceptable. They teach you, and that's when the super ego kicks in to crush the superhero inside of the self and gets you to remain small and constricted and believe that, we judge those expressions negatively now because it's been a negative reinforcement in our lives, that whenever we did something, we didn't get the outcome that we wanted. Let's say you got an idea of, man, I'm not good in school because every time that you sat down for an exam or an assignment, you didn't do well, and so that is your negative experience, and that negative experience is now filtering your choices, okay? A lot of the times people also mind read. You'll notice this, okay? People mind read. So judgment, when they judge others, they also mind read others, meaning they'll make assumptions about them. They'll be like, they have to be thinking in this way. They think about this way about me, but you have no idea. You're just mind reading. You're just making an assumption, and you're judging, okay? Now, what that does is it creates mountain out of molehills, right? So we take the fact and then we add assumptions over the fact, and it just starts growing from there, that standpoint, right? So we've got to stop ourselves when we start going down this rabbit hole of just assuming and judging and, projecting and displacing all our emotions and objectively getting us away from the facts, objectively. Like, we're not able to see our blind spots because they're called blind spots for a reason, right? Other people can see them. in us. We can't see it in ourselves, right? So the intellect feels emotional energy is dangerous, right? So it does this through tension, armoring of the face, of the body, not letting people in, creating heart walls from others, which creates distance from others. And then also our facial expressions. Actually, the face is the first place that recognizes tension, okay? So it's going to react the first thing, and then it translates it to the rest of the body. So just being aware of the face can actually calm down the rest of your body, okay? So we equate actually this repression of energy to an expression of energy. That's the problematic thing, right? So you as a healthy human being are feeling like, hey, I'm controlling my emotions because I'm showing this stoic expression, right? But internally, I'm not having a stoic experience. Does that make sense? So inside, you might feel like the world's crumbling around you, but on the outside, you're just showing that you're numb to the emotions. But this is the ice that we put on. We need to crack that ice and get to the water, which is underneath, right? The shock or the confusion or the judgment that actually needs to be processed is underneath. So we have to get to that gold and get the dust off. Okay, get the rest off of the metal. This is about undoing, not about doing more, right? This is about getting the stuff, the emotional gunk that is already there, and removing. Okay, so we equate repressing our emotions, like shutting down, not laughing in public, never dancing in a situation that calls us to dance, never performing when someone calls us out and saying, hey, you should perform this poetry, right? It's these moments of shutdown, right, where you're concealing yourself, and it seems to be this kind of physical tension in the blocked energy itself, right? And it's an attempt to control. And it's a paradox because this attempt to control puts you out of control. It makes you feel like you're not in control. So when there is uncertainty in any situation, you feel an anxiety because you're not sure of what to do in that situation, right? You don't know. But isn't it empowering to say that? I don't know. I actually don't know. I'm not sure. Take freedom over not knowing. That is one of the things that is going to ultimately unlock this. You want to transform your judgment into curiosity, into this feeling of, hey, I actually don't know, you know what, and I'm going to understand this better. And I'm going to gain this like a skill set. Okay? Because the judgment fatigue that I'm facing is actually not true. Because everybody else is facing it too. I've just thought that it's only me. But remind yourself that it's just like you. You know, when you see someone with this silly hat on, you feel like making fun of them. Say, hey, that person has a silly hat on just like me. That person has a crooked way that they walk just like me. Add the word just like me afterwards, or even to understand that the other people are a reflection of you. They are a mirror of you. Can really give you the power back. Because what happens is the judgment that you create for yourself or others, it creates this anticipation. There's a gap, right? And in that anticipation, you can either go more towards fantasy, a delusion, towards unreality, or more towards reality and just our results and ambitions and our imaginations that give us that end goal, right? So this control or this need to carve and, sketch out and just be able to chisel away at ourselves, it's more like the Lao Tzu path rather than the Confucian path, in the sense of in self-help we talk about, I constantly have to improve and get better. But this is about removing and unlearning and undoing, right? So it's about being the uncarved block again. It's about getting to that childlike innocence of creativity and freedom within you. So maybe you're missing that. Maybe you're in a state of fear right now. In my coaching program, Flow Zone Academy, I help you go from a fear state to a flow state. And I actually help you create a lifestyle personalized to you, whatever that you're good at and whatever your craft is. Okay? So it's about your art. So if you need help with that, I'm actually a specialist in that. I've helped countless people, go through this process. So if you are interested in that, shoot me a message. Have an amazing day. May the flow be with you and stay legendary. I'll see you next time, okay? Boom!